Hello, welcome to Sounding Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Our Simulated Selves by Nikki Null. This is a self-published science fiction book, came out in 2025. I received this book from the SPSOC 5, where it's currently a quarterfinalist. Our Simulated Selves is a complex and fascinating look at queer awakening with poignant and relatable themes. It reminded me of this book, Permutation City, which is very faded. The spine is a completely different color than the front. It might be hard to tell. Not like this is important at all. But if you've read this book from the 90s, so this book is kind of more about, I got a similar idea of like virtual kind of worlds, simulated worlds, but this book is about immortality and like the nature of reality, where Our Simulated Selves is about kind of self and society and how that interacts with technology. Addressing social issues is one of the most powerful aspects I find of sci-fi as like a genre, and this book absolutely nails that, and I think it did a fantastic job. What is it about? A mind-bending quantum thriller about simulated realities, brain scanners, a digital apocalypse, trans awakenings, and tabletop gaming at a cozy queer cafe. Now, I'm not sure if this word is supposed to be pronounced Jean or the French, like Jeanne. I'm going to say Jeanne because like Jeanne of Arc. Anyway, Jeanne said she wouldn't date Ren if he were the last man on Earth. Unfortunately, he had the technology to test her claim. My dog's coming in here. Dejected programmer Ren zeroed and takes notes after uploading his brain into a supercomputer, using his memory to recreate his past. He sets the world in motion and watches his simulated self go through many steps he has taken in his reality. Buying a stolen brain scanner from punkish technologist Jeanne in exchange for getting her hired. Getting dragged to a queer cafe to play tabletop RPGs with Jeanne's trans friends. Having the best time of his life playing a female character there for unknown and mysterious reasons. Asking Jeanne out in a storm of confused signals and emotions. That's when Zero deletes everyone from the simulation except Ren and Jeanne. Now wandering together through the empty city, Ren and Jeanne must work together to find the truth behind their baffling reality, while Zero suddenly manipulates their world to achieve his desired ends. In order to defy the controller's plans, Ren must outsmart his real-world counterpart by finally confronting the fundamental truths that even the all-powerful controller could not compute. This is a book that does not go where you expect. If you didn't read the blurb or kind of just skimmed it, getting into the book, you kind of get this feeling that you're getting one of those annoyingly self-indulgent books where a man's journey is about a woman dumping or refusing to date him, and that is his impetus to go on this self-help journey, wherein the journey is what convinces her to date him or get back together. But no, this is not that at all. This book is far more complex. It's layered both plot and character-wise. It's full of twists and turns. Just when you think you figured it out, it throws another twist at you. Even the things I guessed had little aspects that were still surprising. Everything about this book is really well done. The characters are great because they circumvent tropes. The lonely man is such, but he's also very much not. And the woman, Jeanne, who seems like a manic pixie dream girl, she also is not that. If you aren't sure what that is, it's a tropey woman character who is like quirky, vivacious, and free-spirited, and exists solely, this is the important part, exists solely to teach a moody, cynical man protagonist like how to love life and embrace its like adventures. She has personality, but no real story or arc of her own. An example of this, a perfect example of this, is Natalie Portman's character in that movie Garden State from like 20 years ago. I really did not like that movie when it came out, and I couldn't really understand why at the time, but now I like get it. It's because her character is so flat. Anyway, this book also shows how toxic masculinity echo chambers can convince lonely men that the issue is not just that sometimes life sucks and it's no one's fault, but that women or the woman who they are into who refuses them is the cause of their unhappiness. It's a very poignant message for this day and age especially. I do feel bad for young, good men who can't find girlfriends. Like, I have a brother in his 20s, as they didn't create this toxic culture, but girls are staying single or have high expectations now because where men are afraid of being laughed at or rejected, women are afraid of being hurt or killed. Like, literally. And on a less terrifying kind of aspect, young women also see women my age worn down by career and lazy husbands. To be clear, my partner is not one of those, but I do see it with other people that I know. And while I think some of that is self-induced and that these women need to stand up for themselves in the domestic sphere, most of it, like 90% of it, is patriarchy and gender roles that are very hard to fight, especially if you're not even aware that you can push back. And so young women see these older women, not older, thanks a lot, older in a sense women, dealing with all this stuff. And they're like, why would I enter into this contract? Like, why would I do this? And so it's fascinating because this book doesn't really get into that at all, but it's a product of that kind of social kind of tension at the moment. And I think it's really, really interesting. Now, the plot itself constantly surprised me. I kept thinking it was going in one direction and then something would change. And unlike tech in some books being there just to kind of make it a sci-fi, the simulated world and the brain scanner is really well thought out in this book. It's clear the author, either did the research or knows about this stuff, and it's a really important aspect of the story on its own. I've kind of rambled not a lot about the story, but it's hard to talk about this book without major spoilers. But overall, if you're looking for an excellent LGBT plus sci-fi, totally check this out. In fact, I think this is a great book for everyone, as it addresses not just coming out, but what it feels like to learn something about yourself. It's so well done. It's excellent. Oh, and this book gave a deep reference to a book that I read as a kid that I think was actually more popular than I assumed, because I looked it up and I was like, yeah, I remember that book, called Marvin Redpost, Is He a Girl? I remember reading this in the 90s. I think it came out in 93. It was probably ahead of its time on certain things in that realm, but I remember as a kid thinking it was kind of sexist in terms of the things girls versus boys like to do or how they act. I mean, bioessentialism is a big part of the 90s. But anyway, I just thought it was so funny because I was like, I remember that book. It was about a boy, and he heard that if you can kiss your own elbow, and I'm showing you my elbow, but if you can kiss it, apparently you'll change sex. It's nonsense, but I don't know. Such a weird book. Anyway, because this book was for the competition, a tiny bit of critique, it went on a bit long. The soul-searching aspects, while important, were a bit belabored for me. Some aspects of that could have been trimmed, as well as some of the scenes in the virtual landscapes. Now, this could just be a me thing and won't be reflected in my rating of the book for the competition, but virtual worlds are probably my least favorite sci-fi trope. So that might also be why I felt like some of those aspects were kind of drawn out, because I'm like, virtual worlds to me, I'm just like, who cares? They're not real. That's my hot take on virtual worlds. It's funny because I've read a lot of the kind of main ones in the genre, like Permutation City is kind of a well-known virtual reality or simulated world book. Same with Snow Crash, which I liked. But yeah, it's not a trope that I lean towards, but I think that it was an essential trope for this book, and I think that the book handled it in a way that was really quite interesting and fascinating. So yeah, thank you again to the competition for putting this book on my radar, because I don't think it's a book I would have found on my own, and that's kind of the great thing about being a judge in the competition. You get exposed to all of these books that you've never heard of and might not have ever found. So yeah, thanks.